out here on Downton Dixie. My wife and I's farm, actually, it's a pecan farm. We bought it in 2015, had no intentions of becoming pecan farmers, but we bought this property. But obviously this land here too has got a lot of big deer and turkey on it, so this is where we live, this is where we work, we farm, we hunt. It's a constant work, but it looks beautiful. Look at this. Let a brand new season begin.
All set? Here we go. I'm here, I'm Eric with the OKest Hunter. We're at the Waypoint booth here at ATA 2022, and I'm sitting down with Michael Waddell. Michael, I'm a little starstruck, but I know you're just like a regular old dude like all of us.
Right.
I'm glad to be sitting next to you.
Oh, same here, Eric.
Not to get all weird and look deeply in your eyes or anything, but, and as the OKest Hunter, you might not know, but I'm bound to mess something up, and we set the bar super low. So
I like that.
Yeah, it's okay if we mess some stuff up. But you have a new show, Downton Dixie, and before you get into what that is, I tried Googling define Downton. And there's not a good definition for it. Is it like short for downtown?
Dude, this is either gonna completely pull my man card when I tell you the reason how we come up with Downton Dixie. So my wife, if you got a girlfriend or you got a wife, you know that you have to, watch any type of romantic comedies or some of these series that you might come on. These things don't come on Waypoint as much at this point. I mean, if we need to turn into that, we can. But we were big fans of Downton Abbey. Okay. The old Downton Abbey, and so my wife got me into watching it, and so we got married at the Biltmore, and what turned us on to watching Downton Abbey was they had all the props, and I think they shot some of it, or maybe they didn't. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But so that whole era, we liked it. So I caught myself just watching this Downton Abbey, and I'd be like in Alaska hunting moose or something. And I'm like, hey, you better not watch that next episode of Downton Abbey. And I have some dude over there, skinning a grizzly out, a brown bear, and like, I know you ain't watching freaking Downton Abbey. So long story short, when we bought our farm, it was real rough, and it needed a bunch of upkeep, and it was a pecan orchard, and it was literally like terrible. Like, my wife was like, I can't believe we'd even think about buying this place. And I said, look, if you give me a year, I said, I have this thing. It won't be Downton Abbey, it'll be Downton Dixie. So that's really it. That's the first time I ever even, other than a couple of my buddies, how we got the name. And so we just started calling it our own little Downton Dixie.
You're comfortable
being that we're in Georgia, so yeah.
Well, as someone that's on TV for a long time, right, back in the Real Tree and then the Bone Collector, and now this, like, you have to be very comfortable in your skin, because when you're doing documentary type stuff, you are who you are, and that's it. It's not like you meet an actor and actress and it's like, are they really like they are on TV? Well, no, because they're acting. I think you're not acting. You're just being you. You're comfortable to be Downton Dixie. That's great.
Yeah, man. I don't care. I mean, I'm sitting here with the Beastie Boys T-shirt on at the ATA show. So that's one thing I've always felt like was a blessing to be, is really not worry much about not just the peer pressure, what everybody else thinks. Just be yourself, have fun, cut up, and I like to cut up and have a good time and be real, and I truly am a happy dude, and I like to be around good folks and cut up and laugh, and then I do get serious, because there's times in life you hunt and you got to get serious about it and get your game face on. But overall, man, I really don't even think about it or care, much what people think. Yep. And I think that helped me when we started doing TV. Even on the hunting shows, I was a dude that didn't really care, at all. Even then, I was like, I said something, if it was stupid, if it was mispronounced, I never thought about it. But I think what helped was the fact that I think there was a lot of people that did the same thing, but I just wasn't thinking about it as much.
Oh man, so there's a couple places this conversation could go. Our platform has been called one of the more relatable brands in the hunting space so far, and we're a little baby. We're just starting out. But that's one thing that I think we do well, is we focus on failures and what we call okayest moments, like I forgot my release at the truck, I dropped this thing down the tree stand, I played Plinkle the whole way down, goofy things like that. And those are things that, unless there's a blooper reel that might come out every now and again, that's kind of the low light of the space rather than the focus. The focus tends to be the high five and the grip and grin. And what I've noticed is, there's been kids that have not shot any deer. They've passed on everything because they're waiting for a 150. But it's like, you need to shoot deer. You can't go to the gym at 400 pounds and think you're going to be 185 pounds the next day. Like, you got to get on the treadmill and sweat a little bit. You got to get some practice in.
Oh, yeah.
So as you've kind of grown up in the space, tell me, like, how has it changed, and how do things look now? Well,
certain times, I'll be honest, I've been disappointed in the industry. And there's certain times, and I think now we're in a good time. I feel like a little bit more positive vibe, only because we got all these little tentacles that go in different directions. And, like, shoot deer. I love that shirt, by the way. Hell of a shirt. I always said from day one, I said, man, I raise kids and I shoot deer. I've always said that. And because, now get me wrong, I still have this aspect when I go hunting. Yeah, I want a big, nice, mature animal.
We all do.
We all want to kill a big deer, but you just forget. And, I've seen a handful of sword fights around here, folks flexing and, I shot this and shot that. And, like, man, well, we all did. And, who had the most fun doing it? And do you sit around and, smoke you a big expensive cigar by yourself on a dusty trophy room, or do you have friends and relationships you built? So my adventure, when I started when I was young, I was always more interested in building relationships and things that last past just a mounted head. Now, I do have some taxidermy, and I have some of those cool adventures, but I think it's shallow when people build their whole hunting credentials on, look what I shot. But if you're on TV like you are, or us, and what Waypoint's sharing and celebrating, well, people can see that, and they can decide if they think you're a great hunter, or you're funny, or redneck, or goofy, or whatever it is. Let that be the decision. And one thing I've always got pissed off about the industry, people will go ahead and build their character. And it's like, man, you ain't Jim Carrey.
Sure,
you ain't Jim Carrey. You're not freaking Denzel Washington. Who are you? And I think that identity has been the problem with some of the success of some of the shows, even because some of them are really good hunters. And I'm thinking, man, all you got to do is be yourself. And that, but as hard as I can be on some people by being that, I realize that I was pretty blessed to be pretty secure with just, whether it's joking or cutting up or saying I don't know, or saying, yeah, I had to, stay home night, couldn't hunt, had to watch Bachelor with my wife, hell, I don't know. And so I think a lot of that is it's a insecurity and some ego in there. And I think when you strip out the ego, and I think that's why we like hunting camps, is it's freaking just fun. Everybody's having fun, eating good food, figuring out where you're going to go, whether it's a dove hunt, whether it's a deer hunt. And I think the more we celebrate that, and sure, in that opportunity to hunt, we're going to take some really trophy animals. And there's nothing wrong with being proud of it, nothing wrong with mounting it. But at the end of the day, you got a deer that is antlers or horns, whatever they are that you took, and it's dead. Your kids, your wife, your friends, the people you meet here, they live forever, and you get a chance. That's the true trophy of it. And I think sometimes the industry got it backwards as their approach. Yep. And it's a lot of flexing and look at me.
You're
and
right.
Man, I done got, shit, my muscles and got a little bigger and all. And it gets, and it's like, it ain't nothing wrong with that, but it's like, man, y'all want to go get a cold beverage and let's talk about, let's just go hang out.
Well, it's a spectrum. Everyone's at a different place in their hunting journey, whether you're 35 and just starting out. I talked to a vegan that became a hunter.
Yeah.
Like that, what? How did that happen,
Got tired of eating lettuce.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what
I mean, man, I get hungry too.
But you could be on the last hunt with your grandpa if he's on his last leg. You could be on the first hunt with your kid. You could be on your first out-of-state hunt. You could be, I got 3 kids, so like I might be able to hunt 2 days in a season. I'm sorry, I guess I'm going to take that 6-pointer because I want some meat in my freezer, Things change. There's ebbs and flows. Your goals might be different than someone else's, and your reason for hunting, your circumstances are all dynamically changing and evolving, even through your own journey.
Yes.
The judgment that exists, we call, we have a deployment that we put out called My Tag, My Hunt. If I bought that tag and it's my money and I'm supporting conservation, who are you to tell me how I should use my tag? And therefore, I shouldn't tell you how to use yours either. So that's ego, huge. Boosting your muscle, all that stuff, that's like, well, go do whatever you want to do. It's your tag. So we're not discriminating large antlers or short antlers. I might say there's a lot of memories in the little ones, especially in shed season. They're harder to find anyways. That's when we get to really shine.
That's right. No, that's unbelievable points, and I think that is a better foundation than building it on kind of look at me and how big this is. I mean, keep in mind, you know, I'm for trophy hunting, and the reason is because when I say I'm for trophy hunting, there's nothing that I can say is necessarily bad about it when you look at, you know, conservation efforts and where it's gone. I mean, if we're still chasing these numbers and animals are getting bigger, then that means then the trophy hunter is worth something, because obviously we're breaking records, catching bigger fish, bigger animals, so so it's a healthier environment out there. But if you're using it to define you and you hope somebody loves you more because you killed a big deer, you're going to be depressed pretty quick, because guess what? Nobody really cares.
Yep.
They don't.
So
I learned that a long time ago. It's a personal go, and if you got somebody who really loves you, that, you know, family member. Maybe it's your wife. You know, maybe she don't like it. Hell, I don't know. But she does. It depends on the situation. But
depends how
you
much
know,
I'm hunting.
I think then your success, they're happy because you did something that they know you wanted. It meant a lot to you. It's a goal you achieved. But it ain't gonna make your kid love you anymore. It ain't gonna make your buddy like, dude, man, I really didn't like him, but he finally got that 175. You know, I'm gonna invite him to the Christmas party. I don't think that happens in life. I think if you're just a cool guy,
terrible anyways. Like,
it's
if
that's
what it took for
shallow.
you to be my friend, then well, you ain't actually friends, bro. What the heck?
Yeah.
Now you want to be my friend? What the hell, man?
Exactly. And so I think I just have always been kind of frustrated and been preaching that really a long time. And early on into, you know, in the 90s, when I had a chance to start working at Realtree and guide, obviously I was serious about the hunting, and I was wanting to be the best hunter I could be and hone my craft. I wanted to be, man, if I went turkey hunting, I wanted to kill a turkey. I didn't want to go hunt a turkey. I wanted to get a turkey.
Yep.
You know, I didn't want to just go get in a deer stand. So I wasn't that guy that just sitting up there like, oh, just if I see a beautiful sunrise and a little red squirrel and gray squirrel, you know, no, I want to go get a deer. It's you know, it's cold outside. I got my heating and air paid and got firewood. If I'm gonna sit in there, I could, you know, I could sit in the house and enjoy that, but I want to go out here because I want to experience an opportunity to fill a tag. But at the same time, I learned that the outdoors itself, and I kind of thought even then that some of the people that were flexing the biggest and kind of look at me and look at what I did, or they were trying to say, in lack of better words, I felt like, look at me and how badass I am. And I remember the thing that kept coming to my mind, they're missing it. Hunting don't make you badass. It's just badass you get a chance to hunt. And I thought that was the twist. And I thought that early on it helped me realize that when I'm hanging out here and seeing everybody here at a show like this, you're excited about sitting down talking about your family, excited talking about what you did shoot, and ones that got away. And like you said, the okayest moments to the ones that really the above average ones. And so I don't know. For me, it was all very elementary thoughts, but
it takes some folks a long time to get there, and some never do, and that's fine. But you know what? I guess with the show that you have, or you know, the shows that you have, how do you think we educate people to kind of overcome some of this stuff? It sounds like you'd mentioned, it's kind of starting to happen. It feels positive. There's this welcoming kind of culture that's kind of stemming up, where there's less of that kind of bashing going on. I mean, that's that's rooted in our mission, is to really put an end to that. So I'm asking to help educate me so we can continue to make an impact, to make it okay for folks to get in wherever they are in the journey, so they don't have to feel intimidated. We don't need to be the neck biting the head off. We're on the same team, and if we lose conservation efforts, that privilege that we have to go hunt anywhere could go away.
Right.
So just, I really am curious about your thoughts on it, because you've been around for a lot longer. I'm not calling you old or anything. But.
No, well, hey, I am. I believe I can, about another 10 years, I can be Santa Claus. Downton Dixie comes Santa Claus. I can have the little reindeer sleigh out there. But I think the biggest thing, my gut instinct is security. And I think, unfortunately, sometimes the biggest weapons we give, let's say the anti-hunter, or let's call it PETA, whoever you want to judge, that really don't understand or has no value to understand, I think the biggest weapon we give them is the male ego and insecurity. And I think that becomes easy to weaponize. And I can use it because, first of all, we got a lot of unbelievable, legitimate, talented, beautiful ladies that are in the space that love to hunt every bit as much as me and you. And I love that. But the reason I've always thought there's less women, well, one, you know, hunting is a tough thing. I mean, it took me a long time to figure out, because I grew up unlike some people that might have just be now coming into hunting, I grew up where I thought it was weird if you didn't hunt. I mean, I'm 3 years old and we're checking traps and eating turtle soup with my pawpaw. He made some corn whiskey, and we was country as a chicken coop.
You sound more southern than cornbread.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know. I'd heard of a place called New York City, but I didn't know about a Broadway show. I didn't know that you ate we all went to this nice steakhouse. We saw all the team there last night, and I didn't know that you ate appetizers. I mean, I remember going to places like telling my dad, like, you ain't gonna believe it, these folks eat before they eat. Like, we eat all this squid and shrimps,
that sounds good.
and we eating all this food, and then they bring you a big steak, and so for me, that I didn't know that, so I was so ignorant to that, versus where there's a lot of people out there was ignorant to what I just knew, which some of it could have been some cool high-level stuff that I could teach them. I just assumed everybody knew what a white oak tree was, and that makes good firewood, and this hickory right here is good to barbecue on, and this sweet gum ain't good for much at all except hanging a deer stand in, and and hitting the little sweet gum balls with a bat or something. And I just assumed everybody knew this, or a cedar tree, loblolly pine. I figured everybody knew that you could do these things, and that here's a way you could build a rabbit box and catch a rabbit, and here's a way to skin a squirrel. I just thought that that's what everybody knew, kind of like walking and brushing your teeth. And so, and now I know that that's not the case. And so
you're like the small minority,
Yeah, and I didn't know that.
Space, you're still quite a bit further along than a lot of folks.
Well, and I'm learning now. Like I was talking about podcasts. I had Steve Ranella called a couple months ago and scheduled. I'm going out here in a couple weeks to do his podcast, and the more I realized that when I first started watching Ranella, I was not that big of a fan, because he didn't look like me, didn't talk like me. He wasn't as cutting up. He was more serious. He's eating eyeballs out of a caribou, and I'm like, what's wrong with this fella, And but now I was like, I really respect what he's doing in his lane, and I think that's the welcoming part, to where everybody thinks that, oh man, right when I walked into space, everybody just opened their arms up to me, not about hunting, but the personality. And I remember coming and going to a Bass Pro Shops, and every person, even at a hunting show, would have on a very stark shirt, tucked in, logos, khaki pants, like Sebagos or some boat shoes or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because you're trying to look professional. And
sure.
Facial hair was kind of frowned upon, because that's what PETA put everybody as the old murderer, the bearded man was killing all the stuff. And so I remember coming in and just having a t-shirt and blue jeans. And I remember some of the older school guys like, you're dressing sloppy, you can't say kill, and you shouldn't say that, and you're getting too excited when you take an animal. And I was like, well, I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. This is just the joy it brings me. No different than, I don't know.
Good for you for not bending then to that.
And honestly,
really
it was tough at the beginning, because I had some of my mentors, people I respected, that I stood in line, they're telling me this, and I'm not talking like them, acting like them. So for me, it's helped me in all of the space to not be one-sided. I do have my lane of who I am, however somebody wants to label me. This new show we're doing over on Waypoint, the Downton Dixie.
More personal, right?
It is personal. I feel like it's me that you see on the hunting show, but it is my family. It is my wife, and none of it is even remotely staged or anything. It's just, we're just hanging out at the farm, handling the business, hunting and fishing, raising 5 youngins, and we just built our dream home. We got our dream farm. We're pecan farmers, and it's just that everyday stuff. But there is a lot of this country living and stuff. I'm having a chance to from what I'm learning about the pecan crop to trapping and trying to be a better conservationist and making sure we got better turkey habitat and quail habitat, and taking more coyotes off so they're eating less of our deer fawns. And so I'm learning all this, how to properly burn.
The ecosystem is a very complex thing, and it's almost like economics. What lever you move here will impact these levers, and your ability to understand that is what kind of makes that up. And conservation's tricky too, because you do something here and it affects something there.
That's correct.
And so to educate yourself is, I think, important. It's something that I've been putting a lot of effort in ourselves as we kind of enter the space more. That we're donating to conservation. We should probably understand it a little bit.
That's exactly right.
And you have to actually practice it and actively do it. It's something you take part in. You can't just
Yeah.
you can buy a tag and it goes towards it, but you have to actually do some physical things to be
Yeah.
a real part of it.
It seems like the more success you have, the more. It's like, for me, I wasn't born, I don't think, a conservationist or even an environmentalist. I was born a hunter, but because of my love of that and what I saw and learned, now I become more of a conservationist.
It's
now
important to you. You want to keep it around.
Absolutely. I'm not as a game hog as I once was. I want to make sure my kids and grandkids, their kids, the neighbors' kids, I want to make sure, that they can say that, man, we got turkeys to hunt, and man, I remember old Waddell, man, he was doing everything he can, trying to grow native grasses, give them better, places to nest and brood. He did this for the deer, and he wasn't just feeding deer just to shoot them. He was feeding them because he was wanting to make sure they was fat going into the winter.
You're gonna be grandpa, right?
Yeah.
And be like, oh, look how much he did for us. Look at this legacy he left behind.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and see, and what's different, and for me, like even my pawpaw, well, he lived off the land, but I look back, man, he wasn't even a conservationist at all. He was old school, overall wearing. Chewed some tobacco, made corn liquor, and that's what he sold for his income. He grew up in the Depression, and we had quail baskets. They're illegal. I remember, 7, 8 years old, we were poachers. But my papa wasn't. There was no trophy minded. There was no hunting that. Man, hope this is an air on Waypoint. We would go check fish baskets, turtle baskets, quail baskets, catch the whole cubby. Now, not any morsel of anything was wasted, but he was using it for substance. We don't have to do it at that level. I do eat a lot of deer and eat a lot of wild game.
And you like appetizers.
But my papa, he was like the Booger Bottom Mountain man. He really was.
Yeah.
But he wasn't doing it from the standpoint, I ain't nobody gonna believe it. I done caught 12 quail today.
He didn't give a shit.
He was thinking, we're going to eat good this week.
Yeah.
We got quail. And guess what? We got 3 channel cat and a couple, a mud cat in the fish basket. And we caught a snapping turtle the next week. And so looking back, that's what I grew up around. But now I realize it was because of people like my pawpaw who probably didn't help the quail situation in Georgia at the time. And God rest his soul, he wasn't doing it, to put it on social media. He didn't have a phone. He didn't have a phone in his house.
Right.
And so, he had a couple hogs out there, and first cold day, frosty day we'd have in Georgia, he would pop one and we'd process it, and he'd, salt cure ham, he'd sugar cure one, and we'd make Brunswick stew. And so I just thought everybody lived that way, and now I realize how blessed I was to be now 48, to have seen and raised around all that. And I found that I thought I was stepping into an industry that everybody's raised this way, and I realized when I'm getting here meeting my heroes, I was way more country than them. I was like, man, I done seen stuff, and anyway, it's crazy. But I think getting back to that question, bluntly, I would say, just be yourself. If there's a certain vibe or certain style, the way you want to dress or wear, do it.
The
That's
compass
you.
of your gut, listen to it. Like
yes.
when you were having mentors that you looked up to tell you to do something different, you knew that felt like it was going against the grain of who you are. That's important.
Yeah, and I didn't want somebody else to reshape me because I felt like my pawpaw and my dad and where I come from, I felt like that shaping had been done. Now, I do know that I had to be refined maybe a little, but at the same time, that would be respectful to understand and respect an industry or culture. But in my mind, I was legitimately in my heart, I knew that I loved hunting and fishing. I knew I loved the outdoors. And as a matter of fact, it was really I really realized how much I realized then, I was like, man, quickly I think, man, we're missing a lot, and I still think we are. I think we're getting on a better direction in the diversity.
It's good to hear you say that.
And even the culture now, where we're getting more urban young men and women that they're asking me like, now, you're the hunting guy, are you the bone collector? I don't know, man, but I'm trying to learn. I just think it'd be cool to camp, and I want to eat organic, and it's a different vibe, and it'd be easy to kind of like, man, what are you doing, hippie? Leave out
right.
it. But you don't. You embrace that, and then what I've learned in traveling.
And you can go have experiences with them, and they can experience.
You learn from them and how they live life, and it helps you understand. Like, man, they're so excited to go out and just get a deer, and it's not even anything to do with taxidermists. It's all about, oh my God, my friends are not going to believe that I'm going to have 60 pounds of organic, great,
grass-fed
venison.
Yes.
And I'm not afraid if COVID hits, and you realize that some of these people we're bringing into, it is a more of a hipster, cool vibe, and the way what they're bringing to the table is huge. It's big. I think they're helping the old timers who lost their way, because now we're like, man, this guy's ready to get a rabbit and roast it on a fire.
Yeah, when you started this was a lot of fun. I think back to when my first bow hunt. I was, pretty young. What was I? In my early 20s is when I got into that. And it was a hand-me-down bow from my dad. I was in the Nicolay National Forest in northern Wisconsin, colder than can be, negative 15 degrees or something like that. Well, that was a gun hunt. Sorry. But I grabbed my bow, and it was upside down. and then I rotate around real slow, of course, and I go to draw back. Well, I didn't have a D-loop on my bow, so my release grabbed down above the rubber stopper and zip up the line to the cam it went. I mean, it was a train wreck. And then I dropped something all the way down it goes. These bucks were yearlings. They didn't even know I was there. Believe it or not, I didn't scare them off. But by the time I could draw back, they were gone.
Right.
And that was it. But well, I was excited. I got to see some deer, and it almost happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you learn. I never grab my bow upside down again. I don't. I ought to drop back and have come a long way. But it's these moments that you get back to where that was so fun and exciting that I saw 2 bucks come through, and they weren't big, but they were bucks. And
yeah.
I felt probably that way about how I feel about a 150, 160 now. Like, whoa, I had that same level of excitement. And it's that reminder of how did you feel when you first started hunting? Do you remember how pure that was and how little it took to get you excited? Harken back to that. And I think that bridge is being gapped a little bit with that generation.
I'm seeing it. Not with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's face it, some people's egos are too big to be influenced, I think. But there is a tremendous amount of people that are being influenced to where it's bringing them back down to reality, and you're realizing that arrogance, confidence is awesome. Arrogance sucks, and there's a huge difference. There's a fine line,
yep.
and one can be interpreted one way or the other. But when you're confident about what you know, when you start bringing other people in and you accept and you understand and you can learn from them and you can teach them some stuff and give them the confidence mainly to be security. So I think the basis of hunting has never changed. It's always awesome. So whether you're the trophy hunter or it's just me and you trying to come to my farm, like, dude, let's just, come on, Eric, let's just kill 3 does tonight because we want to make some, sausage.
Exactly.
That's exciting. Mm-hmm. So I think that element is always good, but having the security to be able to know what you're getting into and to be yourself and to not be ashamed of making mistakes, to not being ashamed of saying, man, I don't know how to set up a bow and arrow. and you see it all across the country, whether it's a bow shop. And I started realizing, really paying attention to the psychology of some things. Like, for instance, I've never been snowboarding in my life, and one reason because I know I would suck, and I just know that's not me, and I remember I was in, here I am dressed about like I am, and I went into Deer Park. Is it Deer Park or what's Utah? Park City.
Park City, Utah.
Park City.
Yep.
And it's a really high end. I would say I've never been to Vail but it's one of those places. You walk into a snowboard shop and everybody there is snowboarding, and I'm like, man, so what's a good board? And like, so what are you looking for? And I'm like, man, I don't know, man. I usually get in a tube, and go down the mountain. I don't know. I ain't never snowed, and immediately it hit me because I remember they was looking at me like, well, who is this dumb redneck here wanting to, you'll never do it. Well, then it hit me. I was like, wait a minute. And as pissed off as I was, ready to get them in the Gorgeous George torture rack and, teaching them like, hey, don't talk to me like I'm an idiot, which in reality I was when it comes to snowboard. Oh, my God, there's a pro shop somewhere. This same snowboarder is walking in like, I think I want to try bow hunting. Like, what you want?
You're right. Yep.
I want to look at a bow. Like, what kind?
Empathy,
I don't know. What is there different kinds?
Empathy kicks in when you
and I realized, like, man, so those moments, I would say, in the maturity where I'm at now, I feel it and see it, and I think the more we embrace it, the more program we get that shows diversity, and it's welcoming to everybody. Hunting don't care if you're Democrat, if you're Republican, if you're Trump or Biden, if you hippie or you whatever it is. They don't care if you're black and white. They don't care what religion. It's a campfire, and the good Lord got all these renewable resources out here.
It's a shared experience.
And you know what? If we didn't have the benefit of going over to a nice steakhouse like some of us do tonight and having a nice cook and somebody who processed this meat for us and did all these things, we would be right now saying, hey, y'all might not want to kill, but if y'all hungry, we better figure out how to find the little snowshoe hare somewhere or a gray squirrel. We have completely forgotten that. That is, that's gone the way of the dodo bird of understanding. But I think now with COVID, all the stuff, I think it's now that there's different cultures coming in. It's like, wait a minute, I get it. I never got that Waddell guy before. Now I get it, and I'm over here saying, I always understood that you could come and you would enjoy this, and I just think the more we can do out of that security to welcome people, it's unarguably easy to defend. I mean, it really is. I mean, you got some bad apples that can do some bad things
100%.
To our wildlife resources and stuff, but overall, debating the fact that do I have a God-given right to hunt and fish, that is like self-defense. I mean, if I haul off and hit you and I'm doing harm, there's an instinct that goes over that I'm going to try to block the blow and I'm going to try to defend off. Same thing. If you're hungry, well, you eat. Well, do you go to McDonald's or do you go to the forest? What grocery store do you go to? So overall, I think that's where it's coming full circle.
I guess we get the yellow vest are telling us we got to pack it up.
Yeah.
When can people watch Downton Dixie? And by the way, pecans I think are in Derby pie, which I had my first ever Derby pie the other day. It was delicious. But
dude, yeah.
So I really want to have what you have at your farm. When can we enjoy watching this stuff? When is it?
Well, it's on Waypoint. It's streaming. It's on all the free television apps. If Samsung, Vizio. So if you have any kind of cable, if you put a TV on and plug it in and you hook up to Wi-Fi and or plug in the back, just where this hardwired, you'll have access to watch Waypoint. And so that's where this show is aired and as well or be and streamed. You can download the app and watch it anytime. So I'm super excited about it, and we've just been able to turn out some cool stuff that's a little bit different than your traditional TV type opportunities, and we're being able to give people exactly whatever links we want, and whether it's or however many episodes. And so we've had fun, and my wife has had fun, and it's give us a chance to share a little bit of our life and be transparent. And so I'm super excited about it, man, and looking forward to, man. I'm looking forward. I haven't seen your shows, but I promise you, I'll be on now looking. I want to check it out. It's okay. It's okay, right?
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's been really, honestly, great hearing your perspective on this stuff.
Well, I'm looking forward to hopefully we can both do a whole lot more, man.
Thank you.
We still got a long way to go.
Yeah, damn right. Thank you.
Out here on Downton Dixie, my wife and I's farm. Actually, it's a pecan farm. We bought it in 2015, had no intentions of becoming pecan farmers, but we bought this property. But obviously this land here too has got a lot of big deer and turkey on it, so this is where we live, this is where we work. We farm, we hunt. It's a constant work, but it looks beautiful. Look at this. Let a brand new season begin.